Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome back to Connect Scholar. Thank you so much for giving us an amazing response on our paraphrasing video. For those of you who have not checked that video yet, please click the I button on the top right of your screen. Today, we are going to discuss the research methodology. We will be covering all the parts of research methodology today. So let's get started. If you have yet not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe. Please press the bell icon, like our video, comment down below and share it with your research enthusiast friends. Now let's get started with our research methodology. I have listed down all the parts of methodology portion. We are going to discuss study design, study setting, target population, sampling technique, inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria, duration of study, data collection, and data analysis. Let's understand what is methodology. So friends, methodology is the section of your research paper that explains the exact steps that you followed to answer your research question or the exact steps that were taken to complete this study. The methodology has to be written in such a way that it ensures that it can be replicated easily. Now, why do we want our study to be replicated? As I mentioned before many times that we look for research gaps, right? So, if someone finds our research article interesting and they also realize that this type of study has not been conducted in their region, they would replicate your study, use your methodology in their study. And obviously, they will cite your article, and this is how your study becomes popular and reaches more and more audience. Here's a tip. You have to write your methodology in future tense if your study is still going on, which means if you're still on the synopsis writing step, you have to write your methodology in future tense. And you have to write your methodology in past tense if your study has completed, which means you collected the data, you analyzed the data, and you have results, discussion, conclusion, and all the remaining parts of your paper, and it's ready to be published in a journal. Next is your study design. This is the overall plan or structure of how your research will be conducted. This explains how you will answer your research question. I have listed down the types of study design with their examples, but we will discuss each of these in a separate video. Since it has to be discussed in detail, we want to make a dedicated video on types of research study designs. Next is study setting, or the location where your research has been conducted or is going to be conducted. For example, the study was conducted at XYZ Hospital, Karachi. Next is target population. This portion mentions the entire group of participants that are going to be focused by you in your study. For example, if your research topic is prevalence of diabetes in adults in Karachi, your target population is all the adults living in Karachi. Next is sampling technique. This is the process of selecting a smaller group or a sample from the target population, which means you will be focusing on a smaller group to collect your data from, because it's not practically possible to test every adult in Karachi. So you select 500 adults using a defined method, for example, a random sampling method. By this, your sample size becomes 500 adults living in Karachi. Now, sampling techniques, my friends, is also another very broad topic, and it also requires a dedicated video. So after completing study design, we will be making video on sampling techniques. Next is inclusion and exclusion criteria. Now, inclusion criteria are the characteristics that qualifies a participant to be part of your study, and exclusion criteria are the characteristics that disqualify a participant from being part of your study. For example, if your study includes adults aged 18 to 60, but you have excluded all the pregnant women under this age category. So the inclusion and exclusion criteria totally depends on what kind of study you are conducting and what exactly your topic is. Next is duration of study. You have to clearly mention the starting and ending dates of your study. For example, the study duration was 6 months. Or another example of this can be, this study was conducted from January to June 2025. Next is data collection. This describes the instruments or the tools that were used to collect the data from the participants. This can be in the form of questionnaires, whether in-person physical questionnaires or online Google form questionnaires, lab tests, interviews, whatever tool or instrument you're using, you have to mention in this portion. But you also have to mention that the tools or the instruments that you have used are accurate and reliable. Like, they are giving the number one, accurate results, and number two, consistent results, which means same results no matter how many times you retest them. So this one, my friends, also needs another separate video. If we start discussing all these subcomponents here in detail in today's video, this video will be so long. That's why we have to make smaller portions and release these videos. So please have patience, but we assure you that everything will be covered on our channel. So data collection as well as types of questionnaires will be discussed in detail in our upcoming videos as well. For now, I have quoted an example here. A pre-tested questionnaire was used to collect the demographic data. The reason behind mentioning that the questionnaire was pre-tested indicates that the results of this questionnaire were valid and reliable when used previously. Next is data analysis. In this portion, you will mention the softwares or the applications that were used to run the statistical tests. You also have to mention that which tests were used and how did you process your data. For example, the data were analyzed using SPSS version 25. Next is ethical consideration. In this portion, you have to mention all the approvals that were granted for this study to be conducted, whether by your institution or by some other institution where your study is being conducted. In this portion, you also have to mention all the consents taken from participants who are part of your study. You also have to mention the measures that were taken to keep the data of participants confidential. Here are a few extra tips. First, keep your methodology clear, precise, and logically ordered. Number 2, ensure each step is reproducible. Number 3, avoid extra descriptions. So whatever parts that I mentioned in our today's video, you have to mention all these parts in your methodology portion. You have to write everything clearly. You have to make it in such a way that it is reproducible or replicable. Also, if you are using someone else's methodology, you must give them credits or references. That's all from our side today. Please subscribe to our channel, like this video, comment down below, and share this video with your research enthusiast friends. Thank you so much for watching. Allah Hafiz.